What up, trans turkeys? I think I finally have something here that I can review that not a lot of people have done already. So this is a hand and foot upgrade for your Combiner Wars dudes. This is from Nonnef Productions, and I think he's kind of a one-man shop. I ordered these through his website, and I think I heard about it through Facebook. Anyway, you can get these in different colors. I'll go through all that. Okay, so the ones that I chose were the black hands and feet. So these were intended to be used for Defensor, which I'll show you. So it comes in a nice little box here. I'm trying to hide my address because I am a high-profile celebrity and I don't want all my YouTube groupies, you know, knocking at my door. Anyway, okay, so this is what you get. This comes unassembled. Well, sorry, the feet come pre-assembled, and they've got a ball joint here where it plugs into the robot, and it's got a nice joint here. This is like 3 pieces. This is this toe piece is attached in between here. Well, sorry, it's not 3 pieces because I can't count. You can see quite a bit of flash, which seems to be all over the thing. I'll show you the rest later. But so we've got 2 side bits here, a heel and a toe, and then a cover to build the complete foot, which is nice because it gives him a step position. I'm not sure if you can really get the Combiner Wars into these types of positions, but it's there if you want to give it a go. Up to about there, and then if you go too far, it just pops this off. This is quite a soft plastic. I wouldn't say rubbery. It's solid and firm, but it's got a softness to it. So I don't think it's ABS. It's more like, geez, I don't know. I'm not a plastic expert. I should ask my in-laws because they're both chemists. But anyway, you can see there's 2 metal screws in there to hold this piece of it together, and that's pretty nice. I like the shape of it. It does remind me of how the feet looked in the cartoon, especially Superion. I think these look really great in the white, or the off-white, bone white color that they are available in. I ordered that originally, actually, but then I just was too impatient to wait for this set to get made, and I just went and bought the Perfect Effect set for Superion, and then changed my order for this to black. Anyway, am I happy I did that? Well, let's get through it and see. So that's the feet. I'll show those off on the, the point is these come assembled. I'll show these off on the robot later. Let's show the hands. They do not come assembled. Sorry. The hands do not come assembled, so you have to build these yourself. I mean, they came in a baggie here, and a bag of screws are included. I don't expect this is going to be hard to show. I was going to start doing it, and then I thought, no, I better stop and show it off before I get too far, because everything comes on the plastic sprue, like a model kit. You can see there is a lot of flash. I don't know how things get made in a factory, but I wouldn't say this is probably not the factory that Hasbro has been using. But like I said, I think it's a one-man operation or a small thing. It's kind of cool that he got this made. You can see the plastic here is kind of porous, not porous, but anyway, all you gotta do is trim these and get them cut out of the sprue. I already started. That's why you see a lot of these finger pieces here. I've already cut off. These ones are still on the sprues. So I'm gonna cut all this stuff off and assemble at least one of the hands so I could show you. Just wanted to get it on camera before I cut everything loose, so you can see what you get out of the package. Yeah, it doesn't look that attractive, but let's put it together and give it a chance, see what it looks like when it's built. Okay, so I think it's going to help to lay out all the parts here. So these are all the pieces. We have these are parts of the palms up here, and then we have these. So a pair of these, a pair of these, a pair of those. Those are going to be the palms, and they should sandwich together to hold their bits. Now we've got 2 sprues of these here. I think these are knuckles. The problem is nothing is labeled, so it's kind of difficult to find out what we're working with. But and I also made the mistake of cutting some stuff off the sprues before I realized how different these parts were. I was thinking all the fingers were the same. These two appear to be a pair. There's two pairs of these, which I think are just the standard fingers. These are probably the pinkies, and then these appear to be the thumbs, from what I can tell. So that's kind of nice that they're different sized fingers, but it's a bit confusing when we don't know what's what yet. And then from the instructions so far, I can tell we've got these are for the thumbs, these knuckles here. So we're going to try and attach the correct pieces to make a thumb. These are the wrist joints. That one's straightforward. And I think, okay, this seems to be, I think we've got 4 pairs of knuckles. And as I say, these are the thumbs. So that seems to be straightforward enough. So I'm going to not worry as much about trimming the flash as I was at the beginning, and try to see if I can get the assembly sorted out. Okay, so we're at the Nonnef website here, and I happened to get the idea to check and see what do we have here. Where did I find the directions? There was some directions here somewhere. Menu, products, combine wars. Alright, so here we are. Well, this is good. Everything is sold out as per usual, but let's take a look at what I've found here. Okay, so what I did is I went to news updates up here, and then we have instructions. So that looks handy. Combine words, feet and hand assembly instruction. So we've got a post here which goes into how to assemble everything. So skipping over the feet because I think he changed his mind along the way because the feet came pre-assembled. And here's what we want. Now for the hands, it says. As you can see, I gave myself a bit of a problem because I didn't look at this before. Well, I didn't know this existed, really. I just happened to think, maybe I'll check the Nonnef website and see if he's got some instructions. I did not set myself up for success, as Skullface would say, because I went ahead and started chopping parts off the sprues, not realizing how different they were. So this appears to be our thumb sprues, what he mentions here, which makes sense. That's a wrist pin, and that's a thumb tip, and then this is the swivel and knuckle in here. And then these are the, I guess these are the fingers, and then this is the palms. It's hard to tell where to cut some of these too, like right here, I wasn't really sure. Anyway, so here's what it's got here. Starting with the thumb sprues, the ones on the left of the first picture. Those. Detach the pieces and assemble them as shown. There is a front and back to all the fingers, so watch which direction everything is attached. Front and back. Again, I don't know what the front and back of my finger is. Those aren't usually terms I use with a finger, so I don't really know what that means. But maybe I'm just stupid. Use the sprue marks as an easy way to keep the pieces facing properly. Okay, so that makes sense. So a sprue mark would be, well, on the, I guess the sprue marks would be on the inside of the fingers. So there's the top of a finger. Not the most helpful angle, but there it is. And the palms. Okay, I managed to get this far. These are the palms here, and these are the thumbs. So I think I managed to assemble a thumb, because looking at the pictures, I was able to compare what's what, and I built this. So this, oh, I gotta change my exposure here. Okay, so this is my thumb. So 2 screws in like that. So that's this piece I've made here. So we take the small fingertip. We take one of these guys that has a swivel joint on, as we can see, and we need a knuckle. A knuckle sandwich. So this is the knuckle. Now the thing is here, you can see these. There's a certain way this is going to have to go. So I would say that's the top, because it's got this pointy part there. So that's what I did there. I laid this out as this would be. I mean, that part's easy enough to put together. and then this would go here to make our next thumb. So they go like that. I think it's easier when you have them facing the opposite way, unlike on the website there. So, because we can see this, where the screws go, that part's easy enough. Okay, so those are the thumbs taken care of. So I was having a bit of a time getting the screw to bite into the place where it's supposed to go, so I used a hobby knife to kind of cut some of that out, because the hole is quite tiny. The plastic doesn't perfectly, well, the plastic is a bit mushy and soft. So alright, so this is our, I wish I could tell you if this were the left or right, but I'm not that smart. So I got my screw started. This is going to go in here like so. There's no screwdriver included, but that's okay. These are pretty easy to come by. So let's try and get this in now. This screw is already driven right the way through the knuckle piece before I could get it to bite into the base knuckle. Yes, I should know no more about anatomy to get this. Okay, so now we've got these two pieces attached. I'm just going to tighten this thing right the way up, and then, because it'll come loose as you work it. Okay, so then obviously this thumb tip goes in here, so we need another screw to put through there. But as you can see, I've got some flash I got to trim, otherwise that's not going to rotate. So I'll do that now. Okay, so that's trimmed. So same thing. I've put the screw in here. It's not quite, but you got to hold these together as you screw it together, otherwise it won't bite. It seems to be, it doesn't go right through this hole. It seems to thread through both pieces when you connect them together, which is fine. Just something to be aware of. So you can thread it through one and then press it up against the other one, like I'm doing here. They weren't so small I could clamp them, but I guess that wouldn't really help much. Okay, so that seems to be biting through both pieces now. So I'm just going to squeeze them together, keep turning this. I should probably use a better screwdriver, so these are easier to turn. Okay, and you can see that the screw has gone all the way through there. This one's thicker, so we don't see it push all the way through. Alright, so now I've got a posable thumb, not opposable thumbs. Where did that go? Okay. So this is what we should have now. Two thumbs. Thumbs up. And this is what he means by having the flash marks on the inside. As you can see, the flash is on the inside of the thumb tip, and the knuckle doesn't really apply to this piece because there's flash on two different sides at least. So we got a couple of thumbs. We're getting somewhere now, and it's going to be the same for all the fingers, I believe. It's just a matter of keeping them organized. So if we take any one of these mid knuckles, and then we take a let's do the pinky. So I imagine this would go just here like that, and then I guess that must be what these pieces are for. Yeah, I think so. So this would go there, and we have a finger. Okay, so now we just need to put the rings here onto those palm pieces. So that means we're going to be looking at these four pieces now. I wasn't really sure where to trim this, but after taking a close look at the instructions, it's got quite a big sprue in it. Just the narrowest part here, that seems to be just, it's hard to tell because there is texturing all over it, but I would say we just want to cut that right there, throw that away. Oh, this is all flash, we can cut that off too. Sorry I sound like I'm in a bad mood, this is just a little bit, gotta really concentrate on this stuff. Alright, so now we got these. So all we have to do is trim the flash off those, hook them on here. So these are our palms, part of the palm anyway, put them on there. I gotta trim a lot of flash off of this, but that's what those are. And then it says to just set them aside, so we will set them aside and not worry about those just yet. And with our assembled thumbs, we'll put those aside. Set the thumbs and palms aside and screw together the lower two pieces of the rest of the fingers. Keep the finger tips on their sprues for now. Okay, too late for me. Sprue marks go up for the base and down for the middle segment. Up for the base. Okay. So what we're talking about here is these. Okay, so I think that this would be the base, this part here, and this would be the middle segment. So that makes sense. Okay. So I guess by lower two parts, he means here and here, right? I would call this the base knuckle and this the mid knuckle. I'm not sure if that's anatomically correct, but I think this is what he means by the two pieces. So we're going to put all these together with all of these and worry about the tips later. That's our next step. Okay, so now we should have all the fingers, not including the thumb. Yeah, we should have the fingers and thumbs, everything but the tips. Now, remove the top 4 fingertips from their sprues. Top 4? Sprue marks facing down. These are the pointer and ring fingers. Okay, so ring finger is this one here. This is your ring finger. Pointer, I guess he means the index finger. I call that an index finger. I guess he means pointer and ring fingers? I'm confused again, but okay, yeah, pointer. Let's say pointer and ring. Do the same for pinky and middle fingers. Be sure not to mix them up. Okay. Fingers can be added onto the hand in any orientation you'd prefer the screws to be facing. Okay, as shown in the pictures, the screws all face down toward the center, but the fingers are designed to be mixed and matched however you'd like. Okay, so same is true for the thumb. Screws can be facing up or down. Okay, that's why we don't have a left or right thumb. We can choose, I guess. This looks to me like this finger is shorter than the others. I would have thought the pinky would be your shortest finger. Press the palm. Okay, let's slow down. I'll see if I can figure this out. I'm gonna jump in and interrupt myself here. I think it was about at this point in the process where I realized it's important to nail down terminology for which finger is which and which part of the finger is which. So this is the reference that I'm going to use. So I'm going to call them thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, and pinky finger. I'll try to be consistent with that, but I'm not sure if I have been entirely in this video. And also at some point along the way I tried to sort of make my own little parts list and instructions, so I'll show that here. And I've put a link to this in the video description below just in case that's of any use to anybody. You can download it there. Okay, I'm ready to have a go at labeling or identifying these pieces now. So we talked about the thumbs, got that sorted out. I'm going to say that these pieces here with the hooks, this is what I'm going to call the palm, because this is going to be the inside. This is the palm. See where it's got the indentations here and stripes or scorings? So this is the palm part, and then your wrist is going to hook onto there like so, right? So you can see here. This is the other side of the palm. So we turn it over, the fingers are going to end up being in here. They are attached by way of these knuckle guys here. And this piece here, this flat chunk that's got a sort of a key shape there, this is your outer palm. This is going to be the back of the hand, because when you put the fingers in here and fit it together, this groove goes on here. You can see I've hooked this on here, and then this goes on top. Fingers are going to be sticking out here, and once you put these together, you get a bit of a hole there. This is going to hold your thumb in place in the swivel like that. So again, I would call this the palm. This chunk here, these guys here, is the back of the hand. This part, the inner back of the hand, because ultimately this is really the outside back of the hand, the nice looking part that you can see is key to fit on there. So that will be, once you're all finished assembling the hands, this sticks on and it gives you a nice back of the hand. That appears what we got. So we got our thumb bits, the swivel, the unique knuckle, and the unique fingertip comprises the thumb, and those should be on the same sprue, not too hard to keep track of. We got fingers, 8 of these mid knuckles will give you all the fingers. Those are all the same. You get 8 of these. This is the base knuckle, 8 base knuckles. You can put all those together, no problem. When you're ready to identify which finger is which, you've got 3 different types of fingers. These are going to be, well, I guess it depends. Do you want this finger to be the longest or this one to be the longest? You've got 2 long fingertips, 4 standard fingertips, and 2 small fingertips. So I'm going to say they probably go like this. This is probably the long one. So standard, long, standard, short. That's kind of what a normal. My hand is not the most normal of hands, but I would say you want these two to be the same. So the instructions do kind of make sense with the way he wrote them. This would be your long, pointy, your index, no, your middle finger would be the long one. So those would be the long ones. 4 middle, 4 medium, and 2 pinky tips. Luckily the screws are all the same size. These guys are easy to sort out. It's mostly identifying the palms and the knuckles. Okay, so I hope that helps. That's my version of the parts list. So yeah, now that I know what's what, it's helping a lot. I'm just going to take all the knuckles and all the... Luckily these don't have a front and back. Front and back. It is kind of hard to come up with terms that are descriptive. But there isn't one end. It doesn't matter which end faces the tip and which end faces the palm. So that helps. A lot of flash to be trimmed off. So basically I'm just going to be going about fastening all these together. And I hope that I don't run into any issues with that. Kind of hard to hold these tiny little things together at the same time as you assemble them. This is where magnetic screwdrivers come in handy. Well, I'll just start with one. At least get it threaded through one piece, and then I can stick it in here. And gosh, I hope. Sheesh. Now, do I stick it on that one or this one? I guess it doesn't matter. Hopefully they'll all work out in the end. Now if I press that together and screw them, it should bite into the little hole. Try to keep it straight. I don't want to cheat and, do all the assembly off camera. That's why I'm doing this one here. Okay. Alright, so that's it. You can see it's forced the plastic out on the other side. And, in woodworking we'd call this blowout, but that's okay. That's to be expected because so we just trim that bit of plastic off. You can see the screw underneath, and we're good. When you're assembling these fingers, I recommend that you hold them in place on a flat, hard surface like a desk. As you screw them together, you got to kind of maneuver it And another thing I want to mention is that after you've tapped through the plastic with the screws, you will have these raised bumps of plastic, and you'll need to take your hobby knife again and just trim each of those off for every time you put a screw through. And I keep nicking up the plastic there. So you can see there's the screw tip, because it has pushed the plastic through on its way out. And that's me chopping up this finger with my dull hobby knife. I like it when they're a bit dull, that way I can cut like this and not have to worry about slicing my thumb, because I've done that before. Here's something interesting. There's two screw holes in the palm section here, so when you screw them in this plate, and then I've unscrewed it and it's taken, I mean the screw has threaded itself, and then because I've unscrewed it, it's pulled out the excess. It sort of drilled its own little hole there. See, that's a fresh hole that hasn't been screwed. Oh boy, I can't think of any other way to say it. And this is after a screw has been used in this hole. You know what? I'm just going to move on and show the other finger configuration. So now I've got the middle finger down here. I think I'm deciding to go with hiding the screws after taking a look at all the other transformers I have in the collection. None of them have this problem because most of the tabs they don't work this way with one side to another. They have one piece pegging into another like this, whereas this works this way with screws. So not a problem on other figures. Didn't have much to compare it to, but you know the general trend. It looks like they use pins. They pin these types of joints together, and the pin is fairly hidden. And as I said, that's a way of hiding a joint. So, the other thing is, it looked a bit strange to me. It looked a bit weird to me when I saw this piece, when I was playing with it and flexing it like that. It didn't look quite as natural as this does. Something about the aesthetic of it looks more normal, I suppose. Okay, so this is going to be a right hand, and also I decided just to have them all the same. I sort of misspoke earlier. I'm not hiding them all. I'm just putting them all in a row because I like things to be consistent, and that way I could still see the screws if I want to. If I have the combiner, if I have the guy, if I have Defensor raise his fist up in the air, you'll be able to see it from the bottom. So this is a good compromise for what I would like in terms of aesthetics. So again, this is the right hand, so I'm going to have the small pinky here, regular sized fingertip. This is the longest one, so that is his middle finger. And then, so I can't really decide which way I want the screws to be facing now that I've got this assembled. So I'll show you both ways in case you have the same uncertainty as me. So this is what I've done in this way, is put all the screws hidden. So this is the thumb of the left hand. I put the screws up like that, and the top two fingers, and well, I've put the screws in this fashion. Try to put them on the inside. So in this way the screws are hidden. Would seem self-explanatory, I guess, but I'm not sure if I want that, because the screws, I don't know if the screws look good or bad. They're kind of cool because you know, this is a robot hand. I would say if it weren't for if the plastic looked a little nicer and cleaner, I'd probably want to hide the screws. But as it is, if it's between this, my poor job at cleaning the flash off, or having some nice screws, I'm not sure which I prefer. Also, the shape is different. I mean, you can see you've got this sort of T separation, so you've got large pieces of the digit with a small in between the knuckle here. Other way around, you would see it like this, right? So the middle part of the finger, the middle part of the digit would look larger. Alright, so this is the hand with screws on full display. So there's our thumb. This is now the right hand. So this is the right hand, and we've got the thumb, the top of the thumb, and we've got the index finger here and the middle finger that screws up, pinky and unnamed finger, ring finger, with the screws facing down. So that's what it looks like. Take a look, see what you prefer, or mix and match, or just don't care. But gosh, I can't decide. Cannot decide. I'm gonna have to review the tape and pick something. That's all there is to it. There's nothing for it, Mr. Frodo. Okay, I do apologize for all the cutoffs and dropouts in this video. I honestly, my phone is filling up. I have to keep on dumping these videos and making space. So yeah, it's a low budget operation here at Dendrick's Hideout. We only have the budget that the wife gives us to work with, which is just enough for the two of us. Okay, so I've managed to get this complete. And slap the outside plate on there. This piece doesn't screw on. It just pegs in pretty tightly, pretty snugly. I was thinking I would super glue that just to be sure, but it seems alright. So that's what the finished right hand looks like. As I said, with all screws facing up. So that's that done, and I'm this far along with the other one. I wanted to stop and mention which way around these go. So I said earlier there's 8 pieces of these and 8 base knuckles. So I'll say 8 mid knuckles and 8 base knuckles. Well, if you don't care which way the screws face, you don't have to pay as much attention. But if you have a plan for the way you want them to be or how you want anything to look, you gotta pay more attention. I would say choose the layout you want up front. Figure out how you want these screws to be facing and fingers to be looking. Once you've done that, you can make sure that as you build the fingers, you do it in the way that you want it to end up looking, and go a little bit slower. It's as I'm doing this, it's becoming easier. As I build the figure, I look at the instructions again, and they actually make more sense than they did to me initially. So now I'm more familiar with the product here. So I got to take some blame for that. But on the other hand, the purpose of instructions is to relay information to a person who has no pre-existing knowledge of the subject. Sorry for that being kind of a snotty way of saying you got to know what you're doing when you write instructions. I guess I can kind of feel comfortable saying that because I worked as a technical writer for some time, so I was always keeping that sort of thing in mind, and not everybody has that mindset. But I'm going to look at the instructions again at the end and see, they're not perfect, but I think a lot of it is just that I couldn't figure it out. Honestly, I did not have my brain firing at 100% today, so I fully admit that I may just be too stupid to understand the directions I was reading. That is entirely a possibility. But so I'm always going to give someone the benefit of the doubt. But oh, did I do this right? Yeah, that'll go like that. So this is going to be my pinky. I'm going to screw this piece on. So this is how I've been doing it. It's just one step at a time. I don't want to make any mistakes because I'm kind of particular about how I want this to look in the end. And I think if I had been a bit more patient in reading the directions and laying out these parts, I probably would have an easier time. What I should have done was looked at the instructions first before I started cutting things off the sprue. That was a mistake I made. What I would like to see though is instructions booklet sort of thing. If it were me, it's difficult to just have one picture and then just describe what's happening. when you're doing directions. So, you know, you can't do everything yourself, right? But I mean, when the creator gets around to it, I would maybe think about having an instruction booklet that is more conventional, I guess. Like when you look at a manual for a transformer, it shows you step by step, this is what it looks like now, do this. But actually, it's more comparable to a model kit, something like this. It's basically like building a model. And in the model kit instructions, it has all the parts numbered and labeled, so that gives you an advantage right up front. So you can easily identify the parts, they're numbered. Well, you still have the problem once you've taken them off the sprue, you don't know what number you have, but it's easier to follow along when you've got a picture of the parts and a step-by-step showing you close up. You know, for example, if I took a picture of this, facing in a direction that's easily recognizable, and then showed you a piece attached to it. So, for example, if this were a model kit, it would probably show you this piece here, like that, and it would show you this piece sort of hovering here, an arrow pointing, whatever, you know, pretty straightforward stuff. I think instructions, like when you buy a model kit, a plastic model kit that you have to assemble, there's very detailed instructions there because it has to show you all the pieces and the motion of them sort of going together, so you know what to do every step along the way. And something like that would make this a lot easier. But I understand that you can't really have everything. As I say, I wish I knew more about the company Nonnef to tell you, but it seems like a one-man operation to me. Someone who is very talented at making shapeways designs and has found the resources to get them produced in a injection mold, which is pretty impressive, because I don't think I can do that. And the end product is pretty cool. It'd be nice to have some extra screws, because it comes with just enough to assemble, and they're very small screws. They can easily go tumbling off a desk and go missing. So this part's easy. You can see how it's keyed there. So that goes on nicely. And I guess these indentations are to hold weapons, maybe? So I've got one screw left. So I have exactly the number of screws I needed to get everything assembled. So be careful you don't lose these. You probably don't want to do what I'm doing and leave them on a flat surface like this. Put them in a little dish close by, and that would be a better way to manage them. And I'm thinking I don't want to overturn these two, because I could easily strip the outer palm, the outer hand there. This one is tightened up nice and snugly. This one, it feels like it'll keep on spinning, so I think I'm just going to stop there. So there we go. At long last, I've got the hands put together. I was able to accomplish this feat despite my severe mental limitations. So those look pretty cool. They grab nicely. I do like that you can spread these fingers. I was just thinking the other day how much better my Devastator would look if I could put his hand like that. So that's nice to have that. I also like the thumb, how it swivels like this on a 45. Sort of like a 45 this way and a 45 the other way, I think. And nice wide range of motion, being able to open that quite wide. You can also swing it down. It's going to be great at grasping things. I can use almost just the thumb to hold onto that. Well, depends on the pose, but anyway, this is pretty cool. I do like the... Oh, well, this is just too slippery, but I like the hand. It's nice and chunky. Oh, and this looks like it's also ports for weapons if you want to plug something in there. I don't know what, but I'm sure there is something you can plug in there if I had a better imagination. So these will be replacing these hands. This is the basic Combiner Wars hand, except I've trimmed off the little gun part of it here and cut this out so that he can open his fingers wider. But that's generally what, you know, I should show you the proper thing. I will in a moment. This is the foot. So the plastic is more rigid and brittle, I think, here. This is thicker and slightly oil, not oily, but you can feel the oil content of the plastic. I mean, it has that sort of, I don't want to say rubbery. It's not rubbery. It's a bit soft. It's malleable, pliable. You know, you can kind of tell also by the way when I cut the plastic off, it was sort of shaved and it was gooey. It didn't snap away like it would when you're cutting a plastic like this. It reminds me of old Kenner Star Wars figures. Actually, maybe it reminds me of modern. No, it's kind of like this, I suppose. The soft plastic that Hasbro uses. It doesn't feel like anything you would find on a Hasbro Transformer. I would compare it more to a Marvel Legends figure. Like, you know, like say maybe this type of plastic. It's a bit harder though, harder than that. This is closer to rubber. I guess this is sort of as far from rubber as it can be without being 100% away from rubber. It's that type of plastic. You know, the one that I can't describe and nobody's going to understand what I mean. Right, anyway, let's get this onto Defensor and see how that looks. Okay, so here's the three options I have to show you: the Hasbro Takara versions, the Nonnef parts, Perfect Effect parts. And then back there we can see there's Superion wearing Perfect Effect Defensor with half of his Nonnef stuff on. And I don't have a complete Bruticus yet, but there's Bruticus with the Hasbro parts on. So you can kind of, I'll try to show you as much as I can in the same frame so you can get side by side. So I'm going to change the pieces on this guy. Take off the Hasbro feet. Add the Nonnef. Add one Nonnef foot. You can see it definitely makes a difference in height. Here's a quick comparison. I think I want to actually trim down. I think I actually want to trim this wrist a little bit so it plugs in deeper. Looks like they've left you plenty of room there. You could probably customize that to your liking. I think you see the fingers spread quite a ways. You could actually have them pick up other characters. One thing I'm noticing here is, well, I've pointed to it before, but normally you've got a hole there to hold the weapons, but on these Nonnef parts, the hole is kind of over here. It's on the outside, so it's going to look a bit strange if I use that. I should put something in his hand. I suppose I could also put something like in the thumb there. Not sure exactly how that would work. And again, there's ports here if you want to put something in his hand like that. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. I think if I were to plug, if I were to trim that foot peg down a little bit, I think it would work better. The nice thing about the softer plastic, the plastic being a bit tacky as it is that it does give you a better, more stable grip on the ground. The Perfect Effect feet are larger than the Nonnef feet, however the hands are smaller than Nonnef's hands. So This is really going to come down to your personal preference of what your preferred set is going to be. I'll steal a hand and foot off of Menasor for now to compare. So I'll run down the pros and cons. Perfect Effect. If you want it to transform, then Perfect Effect wins. So out of the three, the Nonnef is the only one that does not transform. It's built to be a bespoke hand and foot and nothing else. I don't think a lot of people want these transforming parts. I think most people, you got a hand and foot, and if you have the combiner in its separate parts, you just put the hand and foot aside. But some people prefer to have the weapons that you can attach on. That's fine. So be aware that this is not going to be a good option because it doesn't transform. So Perfect Effect, there's my little foam rubber pad on the bottom, keeps it from slipping. So these two are a bit slidey, unless you modify it like I've done. Nonnef would win in terms of sticky feet and posability, because it can do that, and the other ones can't. Hasbro's car has this little, looks like a hoof, looks like a Unicron, a little devil heel or something, or Dewclaw or whatever. You can use this to help you pose the combined robot, because it does help you kind of stabilize the foot, and you can do that, I guess, if that's not really going to help you in foot mode, but it does okay. But still, I'm going to say overall, the Perfect Effect has the most stable foot. It's the biggest foot. Aesthetically, probably going to give it to Nonnef. It's a nice looking foot. It looks a lot like the cartoon shape. Usually the way the feet are drawn in combiners kind of resembles what Nonnef has given us here. And then to a lesser extent, Perfect Effect and of course Hasbro kind of lets us down with a foot entirely. Those don't look like feet at all, in my opinion. Personally, I still prefer the Perfect Effect foot. It's, for one, it stays together. It's more solid, because this one can fall apart quite easily, and if you try to use this, it'll pop right off. And it's got this kind of, not quite as, although the shape and design is nicer, the flash on the mold and the extra plastic you gotta trim off is not as attractive. So this is my winning foot. It does have a left and right though. You can see you have to get it on the right side. So not really a big deal, whereas this one's a full 360-degree ball swivel. These are a little too big in my opinion. I like this size better, but not sure. This looks a lot more like Superion's foot too, so if you get this in the bone white, it might look better on Superion than it does on Defensor. Equally good, I suppose. This peg, of course, fits. I should say that the peg fits perfectly, of course, on the Hasbro one. As far as fitment goes, you're going to have to trim the Nonnef one down to your liking, I suppose. Whereas the Perfect Effect and Hasbro fit perfectly out of box. So that's a nice plus. Alright, as far as hands go, it's a bit more difficult to call. I think a lot of this is going to be personal preference again, because the sizes are a bit all over the place. I think Nonnef here has the largest hand, followed by Hasbro car and Perfect Effect having the smallest hand. And again, Perfect Effect's hands, theoretically they transform into some sort of gun, but I don't really go in for that. They're also more similar to the Hasbro, because if you want to put a weapon in the Hasbro, it's got a fully closed hole there, so you could put any kind of gun in it. But it doesn't look like it's shooting it. It doesn't look like it's really holding onto it. You can kind of, if you kind of fake it, you can get away with that, but it doesn't really look too natural. Perfect Effect has a similar thing. Instead of a fully closed hole, though, they've got a semicircle, so you can put that in there, and that works pretty well actually. And then I just position the fingers to make it so it looks like there is a trigger inside there, and you can close the thumb around it. I'd say that looks pretty good. I like that. And it does hold, sorry, this is a modified shockwave. I forgot to mention, I cut off the extra. For some reason there's two triggers on this shockwave. I really don't know why. I guess you could put the back trigger in this square hole, or maybe it's to keep it. I don't know why it needs 2 triggers, because it works fine in there, but I digress. Anyway, I just wanted to show it to you in a perfect effect hand. So that works fine. Slightly loose, I guess. Let's try it with Superion's gun. Yeah, just a touch loose. For some reason that is perfect. That's tighter. So, yeah, not too bad. Nonnef, this is going to be difficult because they've got the hole there. So this here is how it would hold a Hasbro gun. And I guess you would just close this up. I like to just close this around my finger to get a nice natural look. But that doesn't look at all like it's holding a gun. Maybe Shockwave will have more luck? No. Not at all. I kind of put it in the... I do see a hole in the thumb joint, but I'm not sure what that's for. No, if you just go ahead and close it around like a real hand... yeah, kind of. I guess that's the best option. It's just to use it as a real hand and put the trigger in the fingers. And you can... Well, I guess you can make it work. It's not ideal though. I'm not gonna call these the best hands for holding accessories. Bit of a divot there. I don't think that fits anything. Nope. I suppose you're intended to stick it in there like that and just pretend. Not the best. You could do this though. That's kind of cool actually. I like how you can plug something into the outside of the hand. You know, if you got like a sword or something too, you could give some pretty cool claws. Still, it's a nice looking hand. It's pretty big though. Let's put the hand on, back onto blades here. Position, heal thyself. Let's get this guy a little bit more in frame since we are trying to showcase this set. Okay, so that's about the best view I could afford you. Personally, I think I would recommend the Perfect Effect set. It isn't perfect. I kind of think when it comes to Hasbro Takara, the hands are acceptable, actually. Feet are completely unacceptable. My thoughts on Nonnef, I think the hands are nice, but slightly too big, and they're a bit ugly to assemble, and you know, you got to do a pretty good job of it. If you do a better job than I did, you probably end up with a nicer looking finished product. The feet, I think they really nailed the look and size of the feet, but again, the plastic is just a bit not quite there. I think Perfect Effect's hands are just a hair too small for my liking, and the feet are slightly too big. On the other hand, you're looking about the same price. The Perfect Effect costs slightly more than the Nonnef set. Not a lot though, maybe $5. Overall, for me personally, I think I'm gonna stick with Perfect Effect. I would buy another set of feet from Nonnef. Not sure about the hands. If the hands came pre-assembled, then it'd be a tough call. I still think they're a little bit too big, but I love the articulation that they offer. You can get that nice spread hand, and you cannot get that with Perfect Effect. One of the big weaknesses with this set is that they keep falling out of my hand. Is that they only have these joints. You cannot spread the fingers apart. You're always going to have a perfect. You're always going to have this same amount of knuckles, but they don't fan open. And your Hasbro, you can't even, unless you customize it like this one I have, you can only get the fingers to move like that. And then you got these stupid things sticking out. The thumb is good. I like it. You can have a left or right thumb, I guess, and you can kind of open the thumb out. Not too bad. If I could get a Nonnef set of hands that were a little bit smaller, and they'd put them together for me, that'd be easy. then I would say Nonnef would win, hands down. See what I did there? But as it is, I'm going to have to give it to PE. And yeah, you know, it's real unfortunate that I can't find a better way for them to hold accessories. I think that's quite disappointing. I didn't even think of that before I bought them. I just assumed that you'd have no problem holding weapons. I didn't even think about it. I didn't even notice that they wouldn't do that very well. Definitely can't have the Hasbro parts though. You know what you could do is keep your Hasbro hands and then just replace the feet with Nonnef parts, and that's only going to cost you $15. Whereas buying a Perfect Effect set is going to set you back like $30-35. Now, in my opinion, they all have one failing, and that is that the ankle joint is not quite strong enough to support them all. My Menasor isn't too bad, but he kind of, sometimes he'll slide into positions I don't want because of this. So, yeah, this could be a little bit tighter, but you know what? I could also just throw some nail polish or floor polish on there to solve that problem. So there's the menagerie. There's my comparison. That's the Nonnef hands and foot upgrades compared to Perfect Effect and Hasbro. And I hope getting a look at those gives you an idea of what's out there for your options. And if you're not sure which to pick, maybe that'll help you out. Thanks again for watching this. I do have another review coming up of another Nonnef part, and that is the replacement ratchet plates that go in the hips of, you can put them in the hips of Superion or Scattershot, or any of the Combiner Wars Optimus Prime molds, including Menasor. So that'll be up next. If you're looking for other Nonnef stuff, I've already shown the Nonnef shoulder locks for Menasor. They're not going to do me any good here because I've already put this other kit on here. This is a little illustration I made. This is the kind of thing I think would be handy in instructions. So this is a bit of a diet. This is how one finger would assemble. So you've got your mid knuckle, your base knuckle, your fingertip, and this would be the palm, and this is the hand, the outer hand, which I was calling it, because this tabs into there. When you attach the knuckle, it goes there. This is the wrist joint here, and then this is just the outer plate there. Right. So if we were building one of these fingers here, that's what we'd be looking for. Right? So that's a top-down perspective of how we would assemble a finger. Alright, so here's our fingertip. This is the mid-knuckle that the tip attaches to and the base attaches to. Here's the base knuckle. And then this would be the palm here. This would be the outer hand with the wrist post attached to it here. And then the outer plate that just sticks on the back there to make it look nice. So that sort of diagram and instructions I think would be helpful for a lot of people. You know, as the official instructions state, you don't have to have all these fingers facing the same way. You can have the face, you can have the screws showing. You can mix and match them however you like. As long as you don't build them all before you check what you're doing. You know, save the last two at least, so you can make sure that you've got the, you know, that you can assemble it into the hand the way you want it to go. Because the one thing that can get you is this piece here. Like if you have this piece flipped around the other way, like if you put the fingertip over on this side, well then that means this has to be a finger for the left hand. Well, maybe you already got all four fingers on your left hand, you need to do one for the right. That means you gotta unscrew it and put it over here, put the knuckle over there, or vice versa. Hard to explain without doing it. You know, this sort of thing, this goes back to the whole problem, is that it's hard to explain it before you get into it. You kind of have to read the directions, get started, and just constantly refer back to the directions. But I think that if there was some better photography in the directions and some illustrations like this to really show, because sometimes the camera angles in those directions is giving you a top-down perspective when you want to see the other sides, or you see this perspective but you can't tell. You know, what you really want is like as much isometric
perspective as possible. That way you can see, as close to a three-dimensional image on a two-dimensional plane as you can. But there's people who their whole job is to create these sort of directions. So it's hard to fault somebody for not having perfect instructions. Just saying that it could be a little bit easier if some time were put into that, because if you're going to ask people to assemble it themselves instead of shipping it to them assembled, you've got to really be really good at communicating the process of how that is done. And I'm not saying that they're not bad instructions, but they could be a little better at it. And that's coming from somebody who's been building model kits since I was like 12 or younger, and I'm almost 40 now, and I'm kind of a handy person, I think. I do a lot of work around the house. I'm rebuilding the floor in my shed outside right now. I know how to build computers, and I know how to build furniture and things like that. So, so I can at least say I'm not a total novice. I know a little bit about how to put something together, and even so, I still found this quite challenging. So I think that maybe we could ask for better instructions, and that's not totally unreasonable. But I don't want to be a jerk. This is a good product, and while I don't recommend it wholeheartedly, and while I can't recommend it without qualification, it is good. It's going to satisfy a lot of people depending on your taste. So if that's the size of hand, you're not going to find a better articulated hand for your combiners than that. You're not going to find a more cartoon accurate foot for your combiners than this. So it's got a lot going for it. Just want everyone to be aware that some assembly required, some cleanup required, and some patience and DIY attitude required. And of course, your personal taste, like I said. Is this the right size for you? Is that? I don't know. Nobody can tell you that except you. But I hope this gives you enough information to make an informed decision. So with that said, thanks for watching.